Okay, guys, we're going to work today in the reciprocal of fraction and also in how to divide fractions. So let's start with the reciprocal of a fraction. The reciprocal of a fraction, it could be defined in two ways, but we're going to do it in the simple one. In this one, when you have a fraction, the only thing that you have to do in order to find its reciprocal is to switch the position of the numbers. And I'm going to show you this by an example, or, or three examples better. Let's start with the first one. We want to find the reciprocal of 3 over 8. So what we're going to do is to first, in the first step, is identify the numerator and the denominator of our fraction. We have seen this in the classroom, and this is going to be very easy because the number that is on the top, you know that is called the numerator, and the number that is in the bottom, you know that is called the denominator. So in the second step, that's basically the last one that we're going to do. The only thing that we're going to do is to switch the positions in order to find the reciprocal. So the number that it was on the bottom, now it goes to the top. So meaning that 8 is going to be the new numerator for our reciprocal fraction. And then we're going to take 3 and we're going to send it to the bottom. So we're going to have 8/3. This means that the reciprocal of 3/8 is going to be 8 over 3. Let's go with another example. We want to find the reciprocal of 5, but 5 is an integer number. And for this one, in the step 1, what we're going to do is to do something else. Remember that any number, like an integer number, it could be written as a fraction if we place a 1 under it. So what we're going to do is to take our number 5 and we're going to place a 1 under it. That makes 5 turn it into a fraction, and then we can find the reciprocal. Well, we have to identify our numerator and denominator, and in this case 5 is the numerator, which is the number that is on the top, and 1 is the denominator, which is the number that is in the bottom. In the second step, the only thing that we're going to do is to switch the positions. So we got 5 over 1, and 1 goes to the top, becoming the new numerator for our reciprocal, and 5 goes to the bottom, becoming the new denominator for our reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 5, or 5 over 1, is going to be 1 over 5. I want you to try, guys, to do exercise C by yourself, and then I'm going to show you how it's solved. But I want you to pause the video and try to do it. So I hope that you pause it. So I hope that you have tried it. Let's go to it. We want to find the reciprocal of 5 over 4. Remember that this is another way to write in the fraction. So 5 over 4 is equals to 5 over 4. This is just another way to write it down. And taking into account that we're going to do it really fast, the only thing that you have to take into your mind is that the denominator goes to the top and the numerator goes to the bottom. They switch positions. So the reciprocal of 5 over 4 is going to be 4 over 5. And that's it for the examples, guys, of the reciprocal of a fraction. I want you to try to do these exercises. They're not going to be that complicated. Actually, they're really easy, but they're going to help you to understand what it follows, that is the concept of division. So I want you to try to do them. You're going to also find them in the presentation or the slides that I'm going to send you via email or Teams. And let's go for the division. So now we're going to learn how to divide two fractions. We're going to try to do some examples in order that you understand very well. We're going to do 3 of them. And here we got fraction divided by a fraction, an integer divided by a fraction, and a fraction divided by an integer. If you read the definition, it's really short, but I want you to take into account that we need to know what is a reciprocal. We already worked on that. what is the divisor when we are making a division, what the multiplication of the fractions must be clear as well, and what is the dividend. If we got these four concepts really clear, the division for this is going to be really straightforward. It's going to be really simple. So let's go to it. We're going to start with 3/8 divided by 7/5. And the first step that you're going to check is if it is the fraction could be simplified. If you can simplify the fractions, my suggestion is always do it. When you work with fractions, you want to simplify that because they're going to be that's going to make the exercise really easy. But in this case, as you can see, we cannot simplify any of the fractions, so we go to the step 2, that is to identify the dividend. So in here, we got a division. There is a number that is called the dividend and the divisor. We're going to identify both of them. So this number that is on the left of the sign of the division is the dividend, okay? And the number that is on the right of the sign of the division is the divisor. Why do we want to identify that? Because this is going to be key for performing the operation. So we already know that the divisor is the number that is on the right of the division sign. In part 3, this is what you're going to really pay attention. I'm going to explain really slow this. We're going to make that this division becomes a multiplication. And we're going to do that by leaving the dividend without changing. It's going to be the same. But we're going to change this number that is in here, this fraction, for the reciprocal. Remember that we switch the position, so the reciprocal of 7/5 is going to be 5/7. And this is no longer going to be a division, but a multiplication. So the operation that it was at the beginning of a division has become a multiplication, and we know how to multiply two fractions. This is an equivalent operation. So remember that what we do is to multiply the bottom numbers and the top numbers, each one by each other. So we start with the top numbers, 3 times 5, that is going to be 15, and 8 times 7, that is going to be 56. We cannot simplify this fraction, so step 5 is going to be the same fraction, meaning that 3/8 divided by 7/5 is going to be 15/56. Let's make another example. Now, in this time, we're going to divide an integer by a fraction. So the first thing that we have to do is to see if we can simplify the fractions. But in this case, as you can see, we cannot. So the exercise is the same. Now what we're going to do is to identify the divisor and the dividend. We already know that the dividend is on the left of the division sign and the divisor is on the right. But anyways, I'm going to show you this again in here. Once that we have find the dividend and the divisor, which is really important, we have to keep in mind that is the divisor which is the one that is going to change, and the dividend is still remaining the same. So we go to the step 3, that is the changing of the division by a multiplication by using the reciprocal of the divisor, and the division that it was 4/1 divided by 16/3 has become now 4/1 times the reciprocal of 16/3, which is 3, so over 16. Now we do the multiplication as we know, top numbers times top numbers and bottom numbers times bottom numbers, and that gets us 4 times 3, that is 12, and 1 times 16, that is 16. We check if it is possible to simplify this fraction, and we know that both of them are divisible by 2, and then the fraction that is going to be divisible by 2. Therefore, I'm going to simplify directly this. These both numbers are divisible by 4, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now, I didn't do it by steps because I know that this division is really easy for you. But if you feel more comfortable by doing step by step, I suggest you to do it. So the operation 4 divided by 16 over 3 gives us 3 over 4. And I want you to try to do exercise C by yourself and see how it goes. Now I want you to pause the video and try to do it. I hope that you try the exercise C. I'm going to solve it for you. So follow with me. We got 8/3 divided by 2. Remember that this is another way to write the fraction. So in step 1, what I'm going to do is to change the way that is written. I'm going to write down the fraction in the standard form. I'm going to change it like in this one to into this one. And also what I did was to turn 2 into a fraction by placing a 1 under it. So then what I need to do is to identify which is the divisor and which is the dividend. This one is the dividend, which is in the left, is not going to change, but this one that is the divisor is going to change. When we find the reciprocal of this number, the division turns into a multiplication. So what we are going to have that is equivalent is 8/3 that don't change, and this one that is going to change, and the division is going to become a multiplication. Remember that this one that is 1 over 2 is the reciprocal of 2 over 1. Then we perform the operation, we multiply 8 times 1, that is going to be 8, and 3 times 2, that is going to be 6. Finally, we check if it is possible to simplify the fraction. In this case, it is because both numbers are even. So we simplify it by 2, and we're going to have 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So therefore, 8/3 divided by 2 give us 4 over 3. That's it for the examples, guys. As always, I'm going to send you these presentations. You can find a link in here in these images, and you can go to the video to have further explanation about the division that might be useful for you. I want you to guys practice with these exercises at home that you are also going to be able to find in Teams and in your email. And that's it. These ones are not a mark. These exercises are preparing you for the workshop that we're going to have in the second week. That in the second week, that is going to be a lot of work. So the idea is that you focus on that, but I want you to try to do this one. If you get the guy in Teams right now and you can start advancing at that, that it would be great. And if you got any question, don't forget to ask me when we see each other, guys. I hope that this happens soon, and we will see in the classroom. I hope that we can see in the classroom. Right now, we're going to see just via the computer. Have a nice day, and I send you a hug.